Hi everyone. So now we'll continue on to the next part of Tech Beyond DS Algo. So in the last part we learned that apart from knowing data structures, algorithms, problem solving, coding, we should also be good at low level design. So now we are going to talk about high level design, which is also called as system design. Now they are two fundamentally different things because low level design basically means the code part of your application. Okay, that if you have written a code, there will be different classes, there will be different interfaces, and how they are structured together so that reader of the code can understand it well, can extend it to the future use cases. Those things incorporate low level design part. But when we talk about something like system design or something like high level design, then here we mostly talk about the systemic part of anything. So if let's say you have a web application, okay, now that web application will be composed of multiple systems or servers. So you might have a load balancer, okay, and then you might have different application servers, and then you might have different database servers as well. Okay, now how does the communication take place? What are the kind of different networking protocols that are out there? All these things kind of combined together are called as high level system design. Okay, so let's walk through some of the important concepts of it, which all of us must know. So the first part, as you can see, talks about horizontal versus vertical scaling. Now this word scaling means that let's say today you have a web application and you just have 100 users. Okay, so what you have done is that you have just kept one application server, and now it can cater to, let's say, those 100 different requests. But let's say your company grows and tomorrow you have millions of users. So what do you need to do? So you need to increase the capacity of your servers. So there are two ways to do that. First way is that you can have a supercomputer instead. By supercomputer, I effectively mean that you can have a computer that has enormous CPU limit and enormous memory inside it. Another way is that you can add that you can basically add multiple instances of the same server. Okay, so now which one is better, which one to use? So if you try to think a bit, you can say that, hey, the first thing where you replace the same single machine with a different single machine having large amount of CPU and memory is a single point of failure kind of thing. So let's say your one application server goes down, then your entire website will go down, and that is very bad state to be in, right? So that is called as vertical scaling. Okay, the second thing is horizontal scaling, in which instead of increasing the capacity of one machine, you add lot of machines. Now once you do that, the good thing about that is now no longer it is a single point of failure. And apart from that, a good thing about that is that even if let's say your load significantly keeps on increasing year on year, then it is always possible for you to add more and more machines. Okay, whereas in vertical thing it might not be possible. It might not be possible to have a huge computer that has, let's say, millions and millions of terabytes of storage inside that. Okay, so these are the pros and cons. So this can give you a glimpse of what are the different key things that you have to think of while designing a system, while thinking that, okay, if you scale it, then in what manner you have to scale it. Okay, another thing, you might have heard of something called as load balancers. So what exactly it is? So let's say you have got hundreds of application servers with you. Okay, now if a user, let's say a browser, has to talk to your systems, then what it will do is it will send the request to a load balancer, and that load balancer will have some kind of algorithm through which it will route the request to the right server, because there are hundreds of servers. Okay, now that routing mechanism can be something like a round robin. Sometimes it can be a little different depending on the use case, right? So load balancers are also an important component in system design. Then a really important thing that you have is called as distributed systems. So when do distributed systems actually come into play? So let's think of a use case. Let's say you have to store millions and millions of users' data, okay? And let's say you cannot fit in the entire database in one computer. In that case, you would end up having multiple different database servers, right? Also, in certain cases, what you might want is that you might want to replicate the same database across different nodes. By node, I mean server again, okay? So even in that case, you would need something like distributed systems. So what is the way in which distributed systems work? What are the different kind of architectures out there? So you must be familiar with some very well-known architectures like master slave and all. Now, distributed systems is not just limited to something like databases. You can have distributed file systems as well. So if you look at your computer, if you are using Linux, you can study how does Linux based file system work. So that's a single node file system, right? Now, if let's say you have a distributed file system where the files are kind of distributed across different computers, okay, then how do the things work out there? Okay, so that's an important thing to understand in case of distributed systems. With distributed systems comes the concept of CAP. So there is a very well-known theorem called as CAP theorem, where C stands for consistency, A stands for availability, and P stands for partition. Let's understand the middle thing first, which is availability. So all of us have seen that, as I have just mentioned, that sometimes to increase the availability of your system, you might want to replicate the same database across different DB servers. And why do you want that? Because if let's say a particular DB server goes down, then other DB server which is alive might cater to the request. Okay, now that being said, so I can very well say that having multiple nodes enhances the overall availability of my system. Okay, but the moment you enhance availability, you compromise on something else, and that is called as consistency. So think of a case, you might have encountered it. So big systems like Facebook and all, they rely on distributed systems, right? So let's say there is a Facebook post and your friend commented on that post using his laptop. Now when you refreshed Facebook on your particular laptop, you could not see that comment, okay? But when you refresh it 2 times, 3 times again, then you ended up seeing it. So you know, these kind of things usually happen when the consistency of data is not being maintained across the different servers, okay? And this happens a lot in case of distributed systems, okay? So and the final part is called as partition. So partition simply means that, okay, if there is a lot of data, I want to create shards of it. So shards are just like different parts of it, and put different parts on different nodes, then that is something which gives rise to partition. So basically, if you remember the low level design that I had talked about, then I had spoken about solid principles which must be obeyed while designing a code base, right? Similarly, while designing a system, you have to kind of obey these 3 things. But the most important point to understand is that you cannot always perfectly guarantee 100% consistency, availability, as well as partition. You have to compromise with few of those things, and that skill is the skill which you gain by learning system design. Okay, replicas, shards. So again, if you have particular data which you want to replicate and keep on different servers, then you create different replicas of it. Shards simply mean that you create different so let's say you have 300 different records, so you can create 3 chunks of it of size 100, and maybe put 1 chunk on one server, another on the other, and third one on the other. So basically these are some terms that you would frequently visit when you learn about distributed systems and try to design a gigantic system which can cater to a lot of requests and scale effortlessly. Okay, and then different ways of networking. So something like WebSockets and short pulling. So let's think of one thing. All of us might have used something like ESPN Cricinfo, right? So when you use ESPN Cricinfo, whenever the scoreboard gets updated, do you really need to refresh your tab? Do you need to do that? The answer is no. It automatically gets refreshed. Now, how does that actually happen? That means that server is pushing some data to the browser, okay? So how does that happen? So when you start thinking about something like that, then you will understand that, hey, why things like WebSockets would be important, okay? Short polling. So if you guys understand what polling is, so polling simply means that, let's take use case of if you're trying to build an online code editor and online code judge. Now let's say you are coding, you have written some piece of code, and all of a sudden the power goes off and your laptop dies. Okay, now when your laptop comes back to life and you log on to the same problem, and let's say you see that whatever code you had written is all lost, then you will be extremely frustrated, right? So what would you have wanted? You would have wanted that, hey, as you are typing, then after every few seconds, let's say after every 3 seconds, after every 5 seconds, whatever you have written goes and gets persisted to the backend database, so that whenever you log into the same problem again in the future, it can be retrieved from the database and shown on your code editor, right? So there what you do, you basically make some calls to the backend at some short intervals. Okay, so when you think in these lines, when you think about these different use cases, then automatically you will feel the need to learn such kind of concepts. And again, they are the things which build up the entire high-level system design. Okay, once you learn these things, then the kind of questions that are generally asked in interviews are like, you design a messaging system, maybe like WhatsApp. So when you design that, then there are a lot of things that you have to think of. You might have to keep some data in a distributed fashion. Okay, you might have to deal with load balancers, you might have to deal with WebSockets and all. Okay, so the basic idea is that in order to answer such questions, in order to let's say actually build those systems for any industry, it is very crucial for us to understand these fundamental concepts. Okay, cool.